Alright guys, so we're back on here with another episode of the Indigo Podcast, and today the title of this is Just Get Started, Don't Worry About the Little Things, because I think one of the main things that holds people back from reaching their full potential is just sweating the little things. Like this can be with fitness, nutrition, just any type of hobbies. They all come down to simple principles. They're all very simple, but they're not easy. But I mean, with the little things, like you just think of people getting the newest watches, newest cars, newest everything, the most flashy things. I mean, that's cool and all, but it all starts with the basics. When you start with the basics, it can get you much further than where you think, instead of just getting all these little things that are kind of insignificant if you don't have a base. But that goes into the first one. Focus on the basics. I mean, like I just said, the bases are what make the small intricacies better. Because if you think of a house, if you have no base in the house, obviously the house wouldn't be built. The house would be brittle. It would break. Same thing in real life. Let's say if you have a poor running base, you'll miss your goals and your times and your splits will be terrible and you'll miss your splits. I mean, if you have a bad art base, you probably won't be able to draw that well. If you have a bad music base, you probably won't have depth and, longevity within your music, So if the base isn't strong, if the consistent efforts that you built over time isn't strong, it's all going to fall apart. And those additional details, the little cherry on top, is going to do nothing if there's nothing to hold it up. So, I mean, I think a good analogy is just recording content. Like, let's say first you start with, I just have an iPhone XR, right? I don't have the newest iPhone, but it's an iPhone. But I mean, you record, edit, post on a consistent basis, and over time you obviously build a following. No matter how, I'm not really talking about a specific time frame, but just over time you'll obviously build a following, some type of following. And obviously when you get to a certain extent, like let's say you hit 10K followers, you'll probably want to invest in a better phone or a better laptop so you can edit better, or better speakers, or just better Google gadgets, just better things to make it look better and pop. But at first you need to start with just what you have. Just focus on what you have and what you can do, other than what you don't have and what you can't do. Because I mean, you can do a lot with just an iPhone. I mean, I post videos every week and they look pretty decent for where I'm at. So just get started with what you have and think of what you do have, and don't focus on what you don't have. Just focus on, I don't have the iPhone. I don't even know the newest iPhone at this point. I don't even keep up no more. But I don't have the newest iPhone. I don't have the newest microphone. I don't have the newest speakers. Just start with something. I feel like everybody got a phone. Like, let's say if you want to create content, CapCut is free. If you're wondering what I edit with CapCut. CapCut is free. You have a phone, a camera on the phone, record some, edit it on CapCut, boom, post it. Free for the most part. I mean, obviously you got to pay your phone bill, but other than that, pretty straightforward. But, just focus on, the main thing I'm trying to get out here is just focus on what you can do and don't focus on what you can't do. That's the main thing. Because if you can focus on what you can do, that'll get you way further. But the next thing, pick something that sounds somewhat logical. I feel like I've definitely mentioned this before in a previous podcast, but whenever you pick a dietary pattern or a training split or uploading schedule, just pick something that sounds kind of right. The goal obviously isn't to be 100% perfect and have everything exact and everything how you. I mean, obviously it needs to be intentional, but it's not going to be 100% down to a T. The goal is just to make consistent efforts over a long period of time. Just develop within your craft and as a person. That's the main gist of it. And I mean, obviously certain plans, I think of dietary patterns the most, because some people do keto and some people do vegan, some people do carnivore. I don't know why you do carnivore, but some people do that. It may not be ideal, but if it sounds right to you and you genuinely believe in that, run with it. I mean, obviously it should be proven by logical people in the field. Like the nutrition space, there's people that have proven that carnivore probably isn't the best, but I mean, people do anyway. But anyway, just pick it and run with it until it needs to be changed. I feel like eventually there will need to be a change with everything, whatever you do, with running, music. You're gonna have to change something. You're gonna have to evolve and get better. Something has to change, because I mean, I don't think everything is going to, obviously there's principles, but I think there's some things that need to change over time. But number 2, pick something that sounds somewhat logical and just run with it. But number 3, just pick something sustainable. I just kind of picked off of it a little bit. some things like the carnivore diet or like keto is probably not the most ideal, and people probably can't sustain it because it's a little bit restrictive. But the main thing you don't want to do, but like when you first get started on any type of journey, don't shoot yourself in the foot. 'Cause I mean, if you pick something that's not even sustainable, it's gonna be even harder to rebound when you fall off. Because inevitably you're gonna fall off if it's not sustainable. Because I mean, you gotta pick something that you can stick with for a longer period of time, because you always want to play the long game. You don't want to get instant gratification and play the short term game, because I don't think anything that's great is short term. It's long for life, forever. So I mean, you got to pick something that you think you could do forever, to be honest. I mean, obviously things will change like I just said, but you got to pick something that you can stick to and be consistent with and evolve with over time. But it should be hard, but it shouldn't be rigid and disordered. I think people get it misconstrued because they're like, oh, since it's sustainable, that means it's easy. Not necessarily. That just means it's easy to apply and it's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy. I mean, if it's just rigid and disordered and it just doesn't make sense and you're just hanging on for dear life, you should probably change it. Because I mean, the main thing is consistency, and if you can't be consistent, and there's really no point of doing it, in my opinion. So just know yourself, choose something that you can sustain, and then obviously challenge yourself more when you adapt. Like a good example is running. Obviously, if you're coming off the couch, you probably want to throw 100 miles on the week at you. You probably do like maybe 5 to 10, and then once 10 feels manageable, you go to 15, then you go to 20. So just pick something and then challenge yourself more, add more volume, and however you just progress when you adapt. But number 4, I got embrace change, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm a very stubborn person, which I think is a strong suit in a way, but at times it may be quote unquote bad. I don't really think it's bad, but I mean, I kind of struggle with this, but it's gotten better. But anyway, sometimes you have to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. Because a good example is just a training deload. Because in a training deload, you reduce volume, intensity, or duration, or maybe a combination of all 3. And the point of this is to give your body time to recuperate and recover. Because I mean, obviously, let's say I think of a marathon build. So let's say a good build kind of template. You build for about 3 to 4 weeks. You build. Then it's a dip. So that's the deload, and a deload is the chance you're pulling back on volume, intensity, or whatever modality you pull back on. And the whole purpose is to give your body a chance to be like, okay, let me recover. You really harp on sleep, I mean, you should do that anyway, but you should really make sure that's dialed in to get the whole benefit of it. And the whole point of it is just to kind of take a step back and to kind of chill out for a second, and then come back even stronger so you can attack the next part of the build. So, I mean, this applies to anything, like with business. Let's say you have a really good company coming out to talk to you, and it's a really good deal, but you're kind of giving up your standards and you don't really align with them, but it's you getting buku money, but it's a really good deal. But it's probably not the smartest thing to do, because you might be giving up, your rights or your titles or whatever it may be. So let's say you're like, nah, I don't want to do this. And later down on the line, your business grows and you're making even more money than the deal gave you. So, just kind of a trade-off type thing. Just embracing the change and embracing, not every part of your life is going to be a full sprint. I'm not saying it's like a empty period. You shouldn't have empty periods in your life. I think you should always have something going for you, and something that is, getting you closer to your purpose, or, growth, obviously. But I mean, not every part of your life is going to be a dead sprint. Not everything's going to be super fast paced and aggressive, But I think change tests how resilient you are and how good you can adapt. So, I mean, when things change, it kind of throws you off course. Well, not really. Well, yeah, I mean, I would kind of say it kind of shakes things up. It kind of just okay, I'm so used to this routine, and now let's say I have a new job, so I have to wake up earlier. It's testing you to see, okay, can you adapt and still hold your standard? That's the main thing with change. But I think change does, I heard a saying, change breaks the brittle. It shows you who's weak and who's strong or resilient, however you want to say that. But embrace change. I think that's really important, and I really want to work on it. I'm getting better at it, but embrace change. I think it's really important. But number 5, be present. And I think being present is just one of the most important things in life. Obviously with social media, you see other people's lives. I think just learning what your life really looks like and being aware and active of your life and, choosing things that serve you well is really important. I think one thing that's helped me stay present, like recently, and I'm going to continue doing this, is run. Like when I run, I kind of like, I just hyper focus on what's in front of me. Like, so let's say there's two cars in front of me, it's just a road. Like I just focus on that, and I'm just like I'm literally just staring at it. I'm just focused on that. I'm not thinking about I'm not thinking about mile 5 and mile 6 and mile 7. I'm just thinking about the mile I'm in. I'm in mile 2 or whatever mile I'm in. I'm just thinking of that. I think that kind of helps you not psych out. So let's say you have a 20-mile run, and you're on mile 1. You're like, oh my gosh, I have 20 miles. Instead of taking out 20 miles, you know what? I'm gonna take it one. Like this is just mile 1. Okay, mile 1's over. All right. Now I'm in mile 2. You're just staying there. You're not worrying about mile 20. You're just in the mile you're in. I feel like that's a good way not to over analyze things and just freak out, and because I feel like you can do even more than you thought when you're just stuck in that portion of the run. And I mean, this can be applied to anything, like staying in the minutes, staying in the hours, staying in any duration of time, just staying focused on that. And obviously with social media, I'm not saying be a robot and not, I think social media has its purpose, but I mean, I think being present and being aware of what you're doing and not just mindlessly doing things, I think that's really important. And I don't think, obviously nothing lasts forever. So just like, let's say that run, like a run, for example, that doesn't last forever. Like let's say you're going through some pain on the run and it's getting tough. Like that doesn't last forever. It's gonna end eventually. So you might as well just embrace it, and you'll probably learn some things for yourself along the way. But that was my kind of things I kind of think about just getting started. So I think a lot of people, like I see it especially with nutrition and like diet and training or whatever, just anything around like lifestyle. A lot of people just don't know how to get started, because I think it's kind of discouraging when they see so many different modes of doing things and so many different methods. But just picking something, getting started, and just going for it and being consistent, it can take you so far, like farther than a lot of people think. And I mean, I think I've proved that to myself too. So I'm just leave y'all with this: just stay consistent, pick something, and obviously it'll be fixed over time. It'll be evolved, and there'll be some alterations. But that was episode 24, and I'm gonna see y'all next time.